Republican Congresswoman Paulina Luna posted a video discussing the rampant insider trading that's happening in Washington.
Okay, I brought numbers because numbers do not lie. So when you hear members of both parties saying that they have solutions for affordability, the housing crisis, pharmaceuticals, all of this, and yet you look at their personal investments, you'll know that it's literally just political gamesmanship. And unless we actually prevent insider trading, which is happening every single day in Congress, if people are telling you otherwise, they are lying to you, and really look into the regulations on individual stock trading, I would say even make it similar to the executive branch, we are literally going to never be able to fix anything because you have people on both sides that are controlled op for the three big ones, BlackRock, Vanguard, and Big Pharma. Let's look at these numbers real quick. Okay, so in the House, you have 25% of members, and in the Senate, 30% of members that own personally, totaling about $100 million in stocks in Big Pharma. Then you have BlackRock and Vanguard. In BlackRock, that big spooky organization that, in my opinion, is contributing to the housing crisis in this country because they're buying up all those single-family homes. You have about 13 members reporting holdings, but that's a significant number, especially when you have only 535 members. Sorry, the video got cut off there in both the House and the Senate. So roughly, all that to say, roughly 1 in 3 members of Congress have exposure to either pharmaceutical, Big Pharma, BlackRock, and Vanguard. So do you really think that they're going to be able to fix and bring forward great solutions when they are personally benefiting and impacted off of the legislation that's coming off the House floor? And the answer is no. So look, I'm all for solutions. I will work with anyone to come forward with a solution. But to do nothing is not the angle.
She's not saying anything new that this audience wouldn't already be hip to, but it's still jarring to hear her lay it all out. So also she's speaking about a topic that probably isn't discussed as much amongst her own supporters as it is in left-wing progressive circles. Now, Luna is far from progressive, of course. She has at times identified as ultra MAGA, and she does get involved in culture wars here and there, but every once in a while she does take a stance on an issue that has bipartisan support, including insider trading. On Tuesday, she filed a discharge petition to bypass House Speaker Johnson and force a vote on banning congressional stock trading. For some quick background, members of Congress are permitted to buy and sell stocks provided they disclose these within 30 days of the transaction per the 2012 Stop Trading on Congressional Knowledge or STOCK Act. However, as many lawmakers continue to post Wall Street beating returns, support has grown for an outright ban on the practice, given the insider knowledge they may have of market-moving events, as well as the concerns this could raise among citizens regarding possible conflicts of interest. Surveys have also consistently shown overwhelming bipartisan support for banning stock trading by members of Congress. The biggest obstacle to this movement is obvious. Our Congresspeople would have to essentially vote against their own personal financial interests. And as Nancy Pelosi has reminded us time and time again, she has the right to make her money just like anyone else. And not just her husband, who happens to be a venture capitalist, has the right to make his investments. And this question has dogged her for years. This video is from several years ago.
Should members of Congress and their spouses be banned from trading individual stocks while serving in Congress?
No, I don't know to the second one. We have a responsibility to report in the stock, on the stock, but I'm not familiar with that 5-month review, but if people aren't reporting, they should be. Yeah. Because this is a free market and we're a free market economy. They should be able to participate in that.
Last month, just days after Pelosi announced her retirement from Congress, it was reported that Nancy Pelosi posted up a staggering 16,930% return on investment, beating the market by 581%. A New York Post analysis revealed that before first taking office in 1987, Pelosi and her husband reported between $610,000 and $785,000 in stocks in their portfolio, worth $133.7 million today, according to the latest estimates from Quiver Quantitative. That means that Nancy Pelosi made a 16,930%, blasting past 2,300% for the Dow Jones over the same period of 37 years. Let's be fair, though, and look at the other side of the aisle. Marjorie Taylor Greene hasn't been in Congress for nearly as long as Nancy Pelosi, and she also just announced her retirement. But beyond her humble congressional annual salary of just $174,000, Greene has managed to multiply her wealth in just a few years. Since joining Congress in 2021, her net worth has skyrocketed, jumping from around $700,000 to as much as $25 million. As of October 2025, Marjorie Taylor Greene's estimated net worth is approximately $25 million, which marks a significant increase from before she took office. Her wealth primarily comes from her majority ownership in her family's commercial construction business, Taylor Commercial Inc., which is valued at up to $25 million in her financial disclosures. Other assets include real property, bank accounts, and publicly traded stocks. Greene has also executed 450 stock trades since 2021, the year she joined the House. She purchased between $15,001 and $50,000 worth of shares in Trump's social media venture, Digital World Acquisition Corp., in October 2021, which was the SPAC that merged with Trump Media and Technology Group. As of last year, Greene's public disclosures have not shown that she sold the stock, but a spokesman for Greene said that she holds no stocks at this time. It is currently unknown whether or not she still owns these shares. But back to Luna, along with the video, she posted a caption on X saying 1 in 3 members of Congress have exposure to Big Pharma, Vanguard, and BlackRock. These corporations and companies are part of the reason why we have some of the biggest issues in our country right now. Insider trading is happening in Congress and it's illegal. This is a bipartisan problem. The American people, bipartisan, overwhelmingly want to ban it from happening. It's time the House comes up with a solution. Republicans have actually taken to this issue quite a bit. Another congressman, Greg Steube, went on Fox News discussing why he is joining forces with Luna and Representative Tim Burchett to end congressional stock trading.
This is something that 80% of the American people support. I mean, if you ask somebody, do you think that members of Congress should be able to trade individual stocks knowing that they're getting inside information of what's going on? Do you think that's appropriate and that should be banned? 80% of Americans say absolutely.
Well, the great Peter Schweizer wrote a book about it and talked about it on and on and on Fox News and 60 Minutes and so forth. And I can't imagine your fellow Republican leaders are okay with Nancy Pelosi reported to have made millions on the basis of her inside information.
So Fox News and some Republicans seem to be focusing a lot on Nancy Pelosi and how much money she's making from stock trading. And yes, she has been utterly unapologetic for how much money she's made during her nearly 40 years in Congress. She has never realistically backed a movement to block or even regulate congressional stock trading, and she basically said she never would. This was in response, by the way, to criticism that she was getting oftentimes from other Democrats or Democratic voters. So Steube and Luna aren't wrong to say that there is overwhelming bipartisan support for this issue. And earlier this week, 90 former House members, because they do get bold when they're not worried about their re-election campaigns, they signed a letter calling on Speaker Johnson to prohibit insider trading in Congress. In a letter published Tuesday, the former elected officials urged the top Republican and Democrat in the House to hold a floor vote on the Restore Trust in Congress Act, saying they strongly recommend attaching this legislation to a must-pass package before the conclusion of the year. The former lawmakers, including Democrats, Republicans, and independents, stressed the importance of the legislation, which is a culmination of previous bills seeking to ban congressional stock trading, and said its passage would eliminate the persistent appearance of insider trading among members of Congress. In the letter, it was noted that public trust in American institutions and the federal government is at an all-time low, and that, again, the vast majority of Americans support the banning of insider trading. It also mentioned that there was a surge in congressional stock trading just before Trump announced his tariffs earlier this year. And if the Restore Trust in Congress Act passes, members of Congress, their spouses, and their dependent children would be prohibited from buying or selling stocks, securities, or futures. They would still be able to own treasuries, municipal bonds, mutual funds, and EFTs. And I know I didn't mention the obvious in this video, that there are plenty of ways for politicians to enrich themselves while they're in office, and that our own president has managed to launch multiple business ventures while being president, skating by on weak loopholes and the fact that no one holds him accountable these days. In fact, our first lady just launched a media company and it's barely made headlines, at least not that I've seen. If somehow Congress actually passes this thing, perhaps it would humanize some of our Congress people, but I know that is asking an awful lot. They are utterly detached from the struggles of working everyday Americans, and they seem to have forgotten that the stock market is not the economy to which most Americans have access to. It would also disincentivize people like Nancy Pelosi from running for 20 congressional terms, although part of that is our fault for reelecting her that many times. All right, that's it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more. Thanks.